fine. Charlie. Yeah, Brian's phone. Larry's not showing up. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. It being 7 o'clock on Tuesday,
Hey, Joe, how are you?
August 22nd, 2023, we will now begin our meeting of the Town Council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for all those who serve in our military at home and abroad and for their families. Thank you. Clerk Semino, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilor Barrica.
Here.
Councilor Flaherty.
Here.
Councilor Hume.
Here.
Councilor Mackin is absent. Councilor Maglio. Councilor Maglio.
Here.
Councilor O'Brien. Councilor Reynolds.
Here.
Councilor Ringus.
Here.
Councilor Ryan.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Clerk Semino. We do have a counselor participating remotely this evening. Therefore, our votes will be by roll call. Before we begin with our formal agenda for this special council meeting this evening, I would ask if there are any announcements from the councilors. Councilor Hume.
Thank you, Madam President. I am pleased to announce that South Middle School is almost done. As many of you know, we have a brand new school in town that was been built. This project has been in the works for about 10 years. I serve as the chair of the school building committee, been on that committee for about 12 years, as of many of the other committee members. And this is the first brand new school in its entirety in the town of Braintree in probably almost 50 years. So the school building committee toured it last evening. It is beautiful. The project manager did a terrific job. It is scheduled. It's on time. It's on budget. It's under budget, actually, which is always a good thing. And so students should be all set to attend classes first day of school. There is going to be an open house planned, which will be announced to the public, but the mayor announced today a ribbon cutting for South Middle School next Friday, September 1st at 11 a.m. So if you are around town and want to come by and witness it, participate in it, everybody is welcome. It's going to be a great event and something the town can all be proud of. As many of you know, there was a debt exclusion passed that made this building possible. We partnered with MSBA, which is the Mass School Building Authority. So many hands were involved in this. Mayor Sullivan, Mayor Kokoros, School Building Committee, all that town council approved the funding and whatnot along the way for that. So appreciate every effort. So many people involved in this. 3 superintendents were part of this project. So again, next Friday, September 11th, 11 a.m., Mayor Kokoros is doing the South Ribbon cutting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hume, and thank you for your service on the school building committee as well. Any other announcements from councilors? Councilor Ringus?
Just wanted to announce for Braintree High School girls soccer, a lot of our high school athletes are in their tryout sessions this week, but they are starting to announce some of the upcoming fundraisers. Braintree High School girls soccer is going to be running a cornhole fundraiser Saturday, September 16th. That's going to be at Barrel House Z in Weymouth. It is going to, bags are going to fly at 5 p.m., but there will be raffles, DJs, as well as food trucks. If you'd like to sign a team up, it is $100 per team. It is a 21-plus event. You can sign up on the Braintree High School girls athletic page.
Thank you, Councilor Ringus. Anybody else? All right. With that, we will move on to the business at hand this evening, which is 23052, Mayor Appointment Timothy Cahoon, Braintree Police Chief, or take up any action relative thereto. On July 31st, 2023, I received a memo from Mayor Kokoros, which I will read into the record. President Baraka, pursuant to Section 3-5 of the Town Charter, I, Mayor Charles C. Kokoros, hereby designate Timothy Cahoon to perform the duties of the Chief of the Town of Braintree Police Department on a temporary basis until such a time as the office can be filled pursuant to Section 3-3 of the Town Charter. I certify that Timothy Cahoon is qualified to perform the duties which will be required and that I make this designation solely in the interest of the town of Braintree. Sincerely, Charles C. Kokoros. So thank you for that, Mayor Kokoros. And with that, I will refer to Councilor Reynolds, our Chair of the Committee of Ways and Means, for that committee's recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The Committee on Ways and Means met earlier this evening and voted unanimously for a favorable recommendation to the full council on Order 23052.
Thank you very much, Councilor Reynolds. At this time, I would offer if anyone from the Mayor's office, Mayor Kokoros, would like to speak on this order.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, councilors, for having this special meeting tonight. And I want to thank the Ways and Means for their vote tonight as well. And I will be asking for your support of my appointment of Timothy Cahoon as the next chief of the Braintree Police Department. And going back in time a little bit, you've seen the resume and 27 years on the police department in many different capacities. And I know that Councilor Ryan and myself were on the Board of Selectmen back when he received the appointment to sergeant, and seems like a long time ago. And we were, as councilors, were part of his next appointment to lieutenant. And for me, this will be the third appointment that I will be making in regards to Timothy Cahoon. So I think at this point I know him pretty well, and I have to say that, you know, when you look at the SWAT training and just all the different leadership positions in the FBI Academy, which is just, it's incredible how intelligent he is and how great of a police officer he has been for the town. And as he ascended into these leadership positions, he has truly led. And he's led with not only experience and dedication, but integrity. And that is really the core of who he is. And it's that integrity that will continue to keep our police department as one of the best that we have. I think is the best in the Commonwealth. We have been through many changes in the last several years, and I can tell you the accreditation process, which, you know, Chief Cahoon was a big part of, is so important because it gives us that great standing, and it lets everybody out there know how we do our policing here and how much we care about the community. I'll say that, you know, in the beginning, Chief Du Bois and I used to joke about who brought the storm, because from the beginning in 2020, we have had so many major events that have occurred. And from all of those major events in 2020, we have one individual that was part of the team, the original team, that is now a chief in Abington. And we have a chief that is now a chief of a major city in Maine. And now we have the appointment of Deputy Cahoon to Chief Cahoon. So I think that as they operated through the last few years, in particular, as the time that I've been sitting in this role, I have seen firsthand the leadership and the ability of Chief Cahoon. So I am fully confident that he will serve the community well, as he has done in his 27 years as a police officer. But more importantly, will continue the high standards that we have achieved and will continue to achieve with Chief Cahoon at the helm. And with that, I just want to thank you once again for taking the time to have this special meeting. This is a very important appointment, and having a hometown person like Tim, who has the greatest level of community policing and has such a great heart, is a wonderful thing. And you know, it's also so important that there's the balance of family, and we have his wife Tanya and his two little girls here tonight as well, Chair and Dad on, and his brother and sister-in-law, and I'm sure many other relatives in the back. But more importantly, he's a great family man as well. So I thank you for taking the time, and I ask for your support in my appointment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Kokoros. At this time, I would offer if Chief Cahoon would like to address the council. Please step forward. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Very kind words, and I appreciate them. Thank you to the Ways and Means for the favorable recommendation. I appreciate you all. And I'm honored to be here, Madam President, with you and the rest of the Town Council. I'm humbled to be here today. This is 27 years in the making. As was mentioned, I grew up in the town. I went to public schools here in the town. I played youth sports here in the town, and 27 years of a career in policing, all with Braintree Police. So it means a lot to be standing before you today, and quite an honor. I come from a police family. There are some folks who actually worked with my grandfather that I worked with when I first came on the job. He retired in 1965 as a sergeant. And a year or two later, my brother joined the force. Actually, it was like 20 years later, but 20 years later, my brother's been on the job for 37 years now. And I'm hoping to continue the tradition of excellent policing that my family's been fortunate enough to be a part of. And hopefully, I will rise to that level, that standard that those two have set in my life. So in my 27 years here, I've had the privilege of working with and for some of the best that this profession has to offer, some of the finest men and women in law enforcement. And it's not just in my opinion, even around this state, Braintree is recognized as one of the best police departments around. I've had the opportunity to work with a bunch of chiefs of police. I've had the opportunity to work with and in some different communities. And I can honestly tell you that there was no other place that I'd rather lead or be a part of than the Braintree Police Department. I didn't set out to become a police chief. I set out to become the Braintree Police Chief. And that's a distinction that I hope will carry me through the next several years to try to maintain the high standards that have been set in this police department. I've had some great mentors and leaders I've been exposed to. I've worked for a lot of chiefs, and Paul Frazier was an outstanding leader. Russ Jenkins, a dear friend and outstanding leader. Paul Shastny had a lot to offer to this police department, and I was fortunate enough to work with him. And then Mark Du Bois, who's just recently left us to another opportunity up in Maine, was one of the finer persons I've ever met in this career field. He was an outstanding leader and taught us a lot and poised us to continue with excellence, in my opinion. As our town continues to recruit and hire and retain some of the best officers around, I can tell you that I have about 12 or 14 resumes unsolicited for people wanting to come to the police department, and we have 0 people that want to leave. We haven't had any leave us, I think, in the last 5 or 6 years, which is a testament to where we're going. So serving as a deputy chief under Chief Du Bois, my partner, Deputy Chief Michael Want, one of the finest in the business, who you all know, and this team set out to improve all aspects of the police department 4 years ago, in 2020. Mark Du Bois started in 2019. We joined him in early 2020. So we looked at accountability, we looked at expectations, not only what the officers could expect from us, but we expect from them. We looked at employee recognition to make sure that that was important. Leverage technology, we improved the operation. We want to have the finest equipment our officers can have so that they can do their job and have that equipment to assist them to do that job. We looked at a lot of things. Officer safety and wellness is a huge thing, and we've had some good practices put in place. And we have some of the finest training, I think, in the Commonwealth. In the MPTC, the Mass Police Training Council, offers some great training now, but we do a lot of our own, and we go above the standard. And there have been many accomplishments that we've had. As the mayor mentioned, we achieved accreditation. So our 4-man management team consisted of a police chief, 2 deputy chiefs, and a professional standards lieutenant. That professional standards lieutenant that started us towards accreditation was Dave Del Papa, and as the mayor mentioned, he's now the chief of police in Abington. And then we got us to certification in 2021. 2021, Lieutenant Robert Joseph took over and got us to an accelerated program to accreditation in 2022. Our Family Services Unit, another accomplishment. We've really expanded the scope and mission of that. They not only respond, they're probably the busiest unit in the police department, but they respond with a clinician to mental health or diminished capacity folks to assist officers on scene with a higher level of care. That's been a kind of a feather in our cap, so to speak, in the police department. But they also have a crisis intervention training component involved in that, and we're a hub, a regional hub for training of all police departments on the South Shore and down to the Cape. All of this are funded by grant opportunities through the Department of Mental Health as well. And it's truly been an unbelievable unit for us. The Marine unit we established, we had a harbor master for a long time. We established a Marine unit in 2020. We were able to leverage a grant to buy a new police boat, which we'll be unveiling next week, and you'll all be getting an invitation to that. But we had an opportunity to train 19 or 20 folks to work in and around that police boat and have some presence on the water. We have, as you know, we have critical infrastructure on the water, and we want to have a piece of that with the other police departments that patrol that area. And we were recently able to reestablish a traffic unit, which is vitally important. Quality of life issues in the town. Again, town, it feels like a small town, but we have some city issues, one of them being traffic, parking, enforcement. So we were able to establish a unit with only 2 at this time. I'd like to grow in the future, but that's going to help us navigate some of those issues going forward. It means a lot to the community. And with the mayor's office, we've been able to somewhat keep up with attrition. We've hired 14 officers in the last 4 years. We've promoted 3 sergeants, 3 lieutenants. We've hired 6 dispatchers, and that's a testament to the cooperation we've had with the mayor's office, and we'd like to stay ahead of that because we need bodies. We always need bodies. As the mayor mentioned, we'd had some major events. We had to navigate some challenging times, COVID being one of them. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. That had some unique challenges for the police department as well as the town and you folks and everybody who lived through that. And shortly thereafter, we had the horrendous George Floyd incident, which certainly everybody in this country felt, and we weren't immune to it. We do have enormous amounts of support in this town, which our officers are thankful for, but we still had to deal with some of the fallout from that. And the critical incidents that he mentioned. You know, the critical incidents for individual officers you could develop post-traumatic stress, right? I don't like to use the term disorder, PTSD, because I think it not only can be managed, it can be cured, but it can be prevented as well. But agencies feel that as well. So one thing I don't think that gets mentioned enough in dealing with post-traumatic stress, in dealing with critical incidents, is that the flip side of that can be post-traumatic growth. And what I would say is our police department is more resilient, more prepared to deal with the future because of the tough times and challenges that we've had. And that growth comes out of adversity. And I think now more than ever, to deal with not only challenging times, but changing times, you have to have a resilient agency and one that's flexible. And we are there right now. And my job is to make sure that they have everything they need to do their jobs. And my job is to make sure that those officers that are out in the street get all the support they have so that they can protect our community. I'm far from the street now. It pains me every day, but I'm far from the street. It's the officers working the midnight shift. It's the officers working in FSU, the Family Services Unit. It's the detectives who have to try to make sense of a crime scene. It's our officers responding to critical incidents in the middle of the night where the highest ranking person on the street is a sergeant. Those are the people that make this community safe. We're the ones that set the guideposts give them all the opportunity that they have to grow, and that's the type of environment we try to have for our police officers. So again, I spoke about the resilience piece, and I really feel that we're poised to tackle the future because of that. And I look forward to trying to harness the momentum that we've gained under Chief Du Bois and continue towards excellence in policing. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Chief Cahoon. I will offer to my colleagues if you have comments or questions for the Chief. Councilor Reynolds, then I'll go to Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to first thank Chief Cahoon for his patience. We had a little late start in our meeting. I didn't get an opportunity to ask any questions or to make any comments, but I had felt that the questions that had been asked by my fellow committee members were pertinent and to the point, and I was completely satisfied with the answers that Chief Cahoon had provided to us. But I did want to have an opportunity to make a couple of comments. I have known the Chief for many, many years. I know his family very well. And we share a lot in the sense that I had spent an extensive amount of time in the military, in leadership positions, and it is not something to be taken lightly in any shape, any form. And the number one responsibility of a leader is to lead by example. And I have the utmost confidence in you, Chief, that you do that and that you will continue to do that. One of the mottos of leadership that I had learned was be, know, and do. Be a leader, always. Fulfill those responsibilities. Know what your role is. Know what it is that you owe to those who follow you, who you're responsible for. And lastly, you do, always, in a consistent manner, perform that role of a leadership. And I have the utmost confidence, Chief, that you will do all of those things for us. The job won't be easy. We talk a little bit about accountability and setting expectations. I like what I heard. I think that the Braintree Police has done a good job. The department has done an outstanding job in ensuring that there is accountability. And a lot of that has to do with the set of expectations that are put upon them and the way that they lead by example. It's not an easy job. It's a job that at times critical seconds in thinking make a world of difference. And we've seen what those results have been by a well-trained force. We have seen in this country over the last decade, at least, a lot of unfortunate events that have involved police officers, not in our community, but in other communities. And I have always said, and I firmly believe it with the town of Braintree, those things can be avoided through training. And you get these people the right training, and I'm confident that that's what's going to continue in our community. And policing itself has expanded in the scope and the expectation upon our police force and what it is they have to answer for and how they have to act and the kind of support they have to provide to our community. And I think the town of Braintree has done a fantastic job through the years, particularly over the last 10, again, of stepping that up and leading the way, not only for your fellow officers, but for other police forces around this state as a minimum, and I know probably around this country as well. So with all of that, I have full confidence that you're going to perform this job admirably and that you will rise to the challenges that are always going to be there and most often unexpected. But there are other jobs from an administration standpoint. That's the other half of leadership. And when those are not taken care of, it can undermine your leadership and your effectiveness. And so one of the things that I do believe that this department administratively has done an outstanding job. It has developed through the years. But one of the concerns I have as we go forward, you mentioned some of them yourselves. You were asked what were the things that you were going to focus on and prioritize as chief. And number one would be We all know that the town and the police department have many needs, and they cost money. And our town has had a serious problem with money and our revenues. And so we have a limited amount of resources. So with that, that's even a greater amount of leadership on your part to help us, and I'd like to hear just a couple of comments from you, if we may, on what are your thoughts on mitigating overtime, the amounts of overtime that we see? And traffic enforcement is something that's been near and dear to my heart that I was a little bit of a squeaky wheel with your predecessor with. And I'm optimistic. I'm glad to see that we have the start of a traffic enforcement team. However, as you aptly stated, we are a cut-through town, and I'll paraphrase. We are a cut-through town, and traffic is a significant issue, and it's not just the town of Braintree, it's every town around us has the same problem. So I'm looking forward, Chief, of working with you to understand what other types of enforcements, what kind of proactive enforcement, what kind of proactive planning that not just include enforcement per se, but also with your cohorts and leadership amongst the town departments like the DPW and town engineering and the mayor's office, et cetera. What can we do? I'm looking forward to those discussions in the future. And I guess lastly, and I'll wait to hear your responses, I will be, and you don't need to respond directly to my question because I'm sure my peers here on the council, my fellow councilors, will be asking the same question. What will be your priorities? What do you think needs to be improved or needs to be further elevated? So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds. Chief Kahuna, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. So the first thing you asked about was mitigating overtime. Prior to COVID pandemic, and ultimately a year later, we had a horrendous incident where 2 officers were shot, a canine was killed. We lost a lot of people during that time. We lost some bodies to work shifts, things like that. So prior to that happening, as Deputy Chief of Operations, I was in charge of kind of putting the pieces in place for patrol. And we had made some adjustments in response to the overtime concerns, and we were on track to have about a $300,000 reduction in overtime from the year prior. COVID happened, that blew up. Anybody tested positive, they were out for 2 weeks. We actually considered going to 12-hour shifts. We considered to realigning everything, and ultimately we were able to not have to do that in emergency status, but it also required a lot of overtime, and it blew up the budget that year. There's no doubt about that. We started rebounding. The CDC recommendations lessened a little bit where we didn't have people out for so long, and then we had a horrific incident occur where once again really disrupted our budget forecast and things like that. So there's been steps we've been taking all along to try to do that. The good news is I think we have a really good idea of the number of people we need in patrol to maintain that and still have the adequate coverage and the services that we've come to expect in this town. And we're almost there again. It seems as though every time we got close, something else would happen. And again, the pandemic and subsequent to that, we had some issues where one night we had a local mall that was going to be the target of looting, and I think we spent almost $30,000 that night in trying to get enough personnel there, which we did mitigate, by the way. Didn't allow them to breach what we had set up. So there's always seems to be something, but in a general term, the industry standards for overtime are usually 10 to 15% of your budget, right? They used to always be 10%. They've since adjusted that. Our budget is $12.5 million. So that would give us 1.25 thereabouts. Last year, I think we came in, which was very high, at 1.64, I believe, 1.69 last year. And but our average overtime for the 3 years from FY21 to 23 was 1.4. So there's definitely some improvement there. The good news in that is right now we have added some officers, again with the help of the mayor's office, that allow us to fully staff some of those shifts. Not as much as I'd like to, because to your point, we wanted to get a traffic unit out there. And even though it's a skeleton crew right now, they are making an impact. As one of the councilors had mentioned to me, they see them out there all the time and they're doing a great job. But again, they're a skeleton crew. So it's a balance. There's a lot of mouths to feed within the police department, and right now, my job is to complete the mission under the approved budget. I think we can do it, but I still want to grow, and it's, you know, it can be expensive, and that's tough. But right now, I think we're in a position to provide police services that this town is used to, and we would still be within the industry standards of 10 to 15%. Those boundaries, 10% would be like 1.16, and 15% of the budget would be at 1.64. Again, we spent 1.69 last year, and that was an awful lot. So we have some other measures that we'll try to mitigate, but it's always a balancing act, you know, between the services and what we're allowed to spend. Traffic enforcement, the guy's doing a great job. As far as planning, you know, we listen to the community on a lot of these things. You guys know that I have served on the task committee for the last 4 years, the Traffic Advisory Safety Committee, that I think is an outstanding addition to the town. I'm not sure when it came to town, within the last 15 or 20 years anyway, but we get a lot of things done on that committee, and we make recommendations to the mayor's office, and ultimately we make a lot of positive change. And we listen to every complaint, everyone, and we read every one. And if it makes sense, we will have a favorable recommendation. If there's reasons against it, we will not. But those are the things that you have to pay attention to. Because, and even without task, I still get calls, emails, my offices get stopped, but we pay attention to it because it's the quality of life things that make this a great town to live in. And we pay attention to that because a lot of the cops live in town, everybody wants to have a good place to live. So the traffic enforcement is a big thing. And we'll continue to try to grow that as well. With regard to priorities, you know, I have a short-term plan, I have a medium-term plan, I have a long-term plan, I have a lot of goals that I'd like to hit. A lot of them cost money. We have some capital things coming down that I think we'll have to look at in the coming years, one of which would be body cameras. At this point in policing across the country, it's become an expectation and not a wish. Those things come with significant cost, obviously. They will also have some duties, you know, with regard to FOIA requests and redaction of video and producing video, and it's not cheap. There are other things. I'd love to leverage some more technology in the form of drones. I don't know if you guys are aware. You probably are. I think we had a drone save not that long ago, within the last year anyway. I spent a lot of time in search and rescue for 20 years on the Metropolitan Law Enforcement Council team, and drones have changed the game in that. We had a young man who was despondent, left his house, middle of the night. We got the call in the early morning hours, 6 a.m., and ultimately he was discovered by a drone. And when he was discovered by a drone, he was minutes, if not seconds, away from death. We found him in the woods. We were able to do CPR and get him to a higher level of care. Had we not found that drone, that would have been a recovery. So drones, not only for search and rescue, but for crime scene analytics, for all kinds of things. I think there's a lot of technology we can leverage there. It'll be something that I definitely want to pay attention to, and it will definitely be part of our objectives going forward. And then there's one of the big things that I want to do, and I mentioned this in Ways and Means, is cops generally do a terrible job of telling their story. Police in general are, I don't know if they want to be seen as the quiet professionals and not be overly, you know, pat yourself on the back type of thing. So it's a fine balance, but we don't tell our story very well. And I think the evidence of that is when people stop and talk to us on the street and we tell them things that are going on in the town, they have no idea and they're shocked. Or when I come to the council and I tell you what's happened in maybe the last week and you haven't heard much about it because this is routine business for our police department, the townspeople don't know. So I think the more we can educate the folks on what it is that we do on a day-to-day basis, and when I say we, I mean the cops out in the street, what they do on a day-to-day basis and the extraordinary efforts that they take to keep this town safe, then the better off we're going to be. And I think we have an outstanding social media person but I really want to expand that. And I also want to expand a PIO office, a public information office. As the Deputy Chief of Operations, I was the PIO, but I was also on the ground running large-scale incidents when a PIO is most needed. So it was a difficult dichotomy. Am I running the ground, the operations, that's the overview, because we have plenty of good supervisors that can run their units out on the street, but not having someone just dedicated to public information is difficult. And right now we're in a position that is unique in that, although we have a wonderful relationship with the press, we don't need the press to talk to our citizens anymore. We just don't need them. I think it's good to have relations with the press and allow them to see what it is that we do and how we do it, but we can talk directly to our constituency or our citizens or however you want through social media. And the messaging is hugely important. And some of that stuff, I think, if we can leverage that so that people know exactly what we're doing and why we're doing it, more importantly, you have a society that will believe in their police department, that will trust their police department, and that's proven to be very effective. So, sorry to be so long-winded on that, but it's, I appreciate those questions.
Thank you, Chief. Councilor Ryan.
Madam President, congratulations, Chief Cahoon.
Thank you, Council.
I've been involved with the town of Braintree for 20 years as a selectman and as a counselor. And I remember, as Mayor Kokoris said, when you got promoted to a sergeant, I think it was about 19 years ago, maybe give or take a little bit. I think we're all, you see all the officers here supporting you tonight. It's outstanding to see so many of your peers and the people that you work with here for you tonight to demonstrate that they think this is a wonderful choice. I want to thank Mayor Kokoris for his recommendation. I think it's a great choice. I think you have the leadership that the town needs in the police department. When I think of the Cahoon family, you think of the Braintree Police Department, and you think of steady, outstanding leadership in the Braintree Police Department. That's what I think of when for the Cahoon family. So I'm very happy for you tonight, and but you got a lot of work ahead of you. You got a tough job being the chief of the Braintree Police Department. We're all here. We love the town of Braintree. Everybody in this room loves the town of Braintree, and it's a great town. But like you said, we have a lot of issues in the town, and a lot of issues come to our door and present themselves. And the police department, we're very lucky. We have such a great police department that handles these horrible things and instances that are thrown at us, and it's very difficult. So I wish you the best and all the strength you're going to need to do the job. You're a Braintree. You grew up in Braintree. I did not grow up in Braintree. I grew up in Reedville, but I chose to move to Braintree, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life to come to Braintree. I love the town of Braintree, and I've been here for 27 years now. And one of the things I think we do very well, and it was Chuck Kokoris, it was his idea many years ago. Let's make it easier for the Braintree kids to become police officers and firefighters in the town of Braintree. Because who's going to take care of the kids from Braintree if Braintree doesn't do it? And I thought that was a great idea you had many, many years ago. But that's getting your foot in the door. And but you've displayed the leadership and the excellence that now you're standing here tonight and being appointed to the chief of the police department. So I want to say congratulations for all the hard work that's paid off, and good luck with all the hard work you have ahead of you. And I want to congratulate your beautiful family too.
Thank you, Council.
Good luck.
Appreciate the kind words.
Thank you, Councilor Ryan. Councilor Hume?
Thank you, Madam President. Chief Cahoon, there have been so many incidents in the town of Braintree in the last several years. And your knowledge, your expertise, and your professionalism with each of those incidents has always impressed me, not only with each of those incidents, but as you mentioned, with any updates or any conversations that we've had on anything that's going on. And you've proven yourself to be a true leader, so that you're here tonight as the mayor's appointment for the chief of the Braintree Police is no shock to me. But I thank you for your leadership. And to the Braintree Police and any police department, their main job is to serve and protect the town. And I've always sat here and said, the Braintree Police, our town is safe because of all the men and women who you lead and who are here before you tonight and working the streets for all of us. Braintree is a safe community. I have never felt unsafe in this community. I'm fortunate for all the police officers who serve this community. And with you at the leadership, I'm confident that will continue. So to your wife and your 2 children and you, congratulations. Thank you to your family for allowing your husband and father to be part of this community and serve us, because I know without your family you wouldn't be able to be here in front of us, because they allow you to serve our community, and there's so many hours outside of family that go into the job in all these events. It's not a 8 to 5 job. It's not even an 8-hour day, 10-hour day. There's been I know all of you who are here tonight representing the Braintree Police, there have been many incidents over the year where it's nonstop, all day, all night, days on end, weeks on end. So I appreciate that, and I thank you for your service to this community and for your willingness to step up, and I congratulate you, and I will be supporting this for you tonight.
Thank you, Council. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilor Hume. Councilor Ringus?
Chief, congratulations.
Thank you,
Great
sir.
to have you here tonight. I think I'm going to correct you, though, because a couple minutes ago to an answer, you said you apologize for being long-winded. And I don't think you were long-winded. What you were was passionate about your answer. And I think that's one of the things that you're bringing to this position, because I think for someone to be successful in this position as a chief of police, they need to bring passion to the job, they need the operational experience, and they need the administrative experience. So your passion is second to none, clearly, just from that answer alone, what the thought that you've already put into what you're gonna need in the budget and what you see for the future, and the thoughts that you're putting to the men and women behind you. In terms of your operational experience, we can peruse your resume, but obviously you have been there and done that, and you're an example to the folks that you're gonna lead. And I think, again, it's a testament to you that so many folks are here tonight to support you. From the administrative side of things, obviously since 2020, in your position as head of operation or deputy chief of operations, you've shown that you can get behind the scenes and work towards some of the things that Councilor Reynolds mentioned that Ways and Means talked about in terms of looking at numbers and some of the expenses that are going to be necessary when you talk about body cams, or we talk about tasers, or any of those things that are going to be additional expenses while managing overtime. It's clear from the answers that you bring those 3 elements of passion, of operational experience, and administrative experience. I think the town of Braintree is lucky to be able to promote from within into this position. Thank you to your family for sharing. Thank you to your fellow officers for being here. Thank you to Mayor Kokoros for pushing this forward. But again, I look forward to your tenure.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor Ringus. Councilor Flaherty?
Thank you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Pleasure.
In my conversation with Chief Cahoon about what he thinks is important for a police chief to focus on as a leader, he talked about a lot of things. But broadly speaking, there were 3 that stood out. He talked about training, he talked about accountability, and he talked about empathy. These 3 characteristics are all hallmarks of the tenure of Chief Du Bois, for whom I have nothing but the highest regard. I know Chief Cahoon to be a man of integrity, and I have every confidence that he will be able to continue with a focus on these 3 characteristics during his tenure as chief. And I appreciate his family coming out, because I know they miss him a lot when he's not at home. And I'm happy to support his position as Chief of Police. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Maglio?
So I asked most of my questions upstairs and went on a little bit long. So all I'll say right now is that I do want to congratulate you. I also want to wish you every success, because your success means that there's safety, it means that there's justice, it means that there's equity, it means that everybody has a voice. And it means that the members of the force have someone leading them who cares about them, who cares about quality of life, and who cares about the residents. So I wish you every success in this new role.
Thank you, Council.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilor Maglio. And I'd like to join my colleagues in their sentiments of support and thank you and your family for being here tonight. I think we would agree public health and safety is the primary responsibility of local government. When residents feel secure in their homes, in their neighborhoods, in their streets and schools, so much else can be accomplished. So it is no small thing for us to consider who should lead our town's police department and be entrusted to implement a vision for Braintree's public safety. And in this, I am extremely confident in your appointment, Chief Cahoon. Through your actions, it is clear to me that you prioritize the well-being of our residents and our officers. In demonstrating your leadership at the department, what I have seen is a focus on compassion, which is a key element in building trust. And I'd like to highlight for residents who may not have had a chance to meet you yet, 3 examples of the work you've done. You have been instrumental in refocusing the drug control unit away from street-level enforcement and towards strategic narcotics investigations. You've developed response models for incidents involving non-criminal individuals experiencing mental health crises, and you've been a champion of comprehensive emotional and physical well-being programs which improve outcomes for both the public and our officers. In leading the police department, I am confident you will carry forth and even improve upon the reputation for excellence that sets Braintree's police department apart. And not the least of which is, I don't think a lot of people know this, a fully accredited department meeting all of the 382 standards set forth by the Massachusetts Police Accreditation Commission, which ensures police services are delivered with the highest level of professionalism and integrity, and Chief Cahoon was integral in overseeing this effort. Lastly, I'll say from my own experience, observing the chief in his current capacity, reading about your commitment to community-centric policing, and speaking to you about your leadership style, you have shown yourself to be a lifelong learner, bringing curiosity, compassion, and a collaborative approach to deliver on continuous improvement. And there's nothing that we should be more proud of than that as a community. So I am certainly proud to support this appointment. I thank the mayor for bringing it forward, and I am looking forward to all you will bring to the town in the future. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor. Madam President.
Right. With that, is there a motion?
Yes. I'll find it. Motion upon the request of His Honor, the Mayor, the Town of Braintree, through the Braintree Town Council, in accordance with Section 2-10 and 3-3 of the Charter, approves the appointment of Timothy Cahoon as Chief of Police of the Braintree Police Department. So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Councilors Ryan and Hume. Clerk Semino, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Baraka.
Yes.
Counselor Flaherty. Aye. Counselor Hume.
Aye.
Counselor Mackin is absent. Counselor Maglio.
Aye.
Counselor O'Brien.
Aye.
Counselor Reynolds.
Aye.
Counselor Ringus.
Aye.
Counselor Ryan.
Aye.
8 in favor.
That
0
is
opposed.
unanimous. Thank you, Chief.
Madam
Thank you
President,
very much.
motion to refer all items on the agenda to the committees as identified.
Second.
Thank you, Councilors Ryan and Hume. Clerk Semino, roll call for the referrals.
Counselor Baraka.
Yes.
Counselor Flaherty. Aye. Counselor Hume.
Aye.
Counselor Maglio.
Aye.
Counselor O'Brien.
Aye.
Counselor Reynolds.
Aye.
Counselor Ringus.
Aye.
Counselor Ryan.
Aye.
8 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you very much. That concludes our meeting for this evening. Our next regularly scheduled meeting will be held on Tuesday, September 5th 2023 at 7:30 p.m. Thank you so much to our BCAM team, Bill Needham and Jerry Comack, for being here this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Clerk Semino, roll call to adjourn, please.
Counselor Barrica?
Yes.
Counselor Flaherty?
Aye.
Counselor Hume?
Aye.
Counselor Maglio?
Aye.
Counselor O'Brien?
Aye.
Counselor Reynolds?
Aye.
Counselor Ringus?
Aye.
Counselor Ryan?
Aye.
All in favor to adjourn?
This meeting is adjourned.